with a rifle in his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authoritative man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Arkansas, and streaming live on 1787network.com. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. That's better. Now I can hear myself talk. You know, sometimes I can't even hear myself think. Right now I can hear myself talk, though, so that's quite all right. Sitting to my right, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, a woman that definitely wears more hats than the Wayans, typically at the same time, and all before 9 a.m. Danielle Alexandre, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Very busy today, but doing well.
Good. Glad to hear you're doing well. Also in studio with us, running the boards as he does so well, the Prime Minister of the Sinister, Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
There you go. You doing good?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing good.
Yeah. Missed out on my caffeine this morning, so need a boost.
Need a boost, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you at this point. I don't have any crack with me, so you'll have to find other ways.
Just a little bit of crack.
Just a little bit, something for the cataracts. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. We do have a busy show, and we are going to be cutting out a little bit early today. The reason for that is that Adrian has got a big court case today, and we wanted to make sure that we were there. So we're going to be heading out of here at about
11:30.
11:30 after some interviews and other things that we have. But I hope you listen to the show. Like I said, we got a lot going on. Where should we start?
Where do you want to start?
Well, how about we go with where you have on the list?
Okay, let's do that.
All right. Let's go with the airliner / Ukraine. So what is going on with this, Danielle?
Well, you were watching this last night, and from all the reports that I've seen, is no one really knows, but the mainstream media is portraying this as we do know.
I got you. Nobody knows what, though.
Well, okay, there is a Malaysian airliner crash in the East Ukraine, right near the Russian border where Russia and the Ukraine will meet. It was about 60 kilometers outside of that border. There was 298 people on board the plane. This was a passenger jet. This wasn't any kind of military-style airliner. It was a passenger jet, and it crashed about 60 kilometers near the border on the Ukraine side.
On the Ukraine side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are some of the facts that is known?
Well, we know that the plane went down. We know that every person on board died, and that there is a crash site with a plane. Other than that, I think everything else is speculation.
I got you. Now, there were was there some audio that was going back and forth between rebels and the Russians?
Not in, and like I said, you were looking at a lot of this last night that I was not seeing, because when I pulled all the stories, there was literally everyone was pointing both sides, the Ukraine and Russia are pointing the fingers at each other, saying you shot the plane down. Both sides were saying we didn't even have any equipment in the area that could shoot it down.
All right. And right now, so there's no way we know for sure if it was the separatists or who it was.
Right. And in all honesty, from all the reports that I'm seeing, I don't see, and maybe it's changed today or late last night, because I pulled this story pretty early in the evening. I didn't even see where they had absolute proof that it was shot down.
Apparently, there's a lot of eyewitnesses that have said that that they saw it shot down or that they saw a missile or anything, but it's not like there's any video of it.
I got you. Well, I think that the missile is something that's pretty for sure. Like, it was shot down with a surface-to-air missile, like a handheld surface-to-air missile.
Well, actually, that's what one of the things I was watching, they were saying there's no way it could have been shot down by a handheld surface-to-air missile. It had to be one that like is launched off of the trucks.
Yeah.
Because the plane was just way too high for one of the shoulder-mounted SAMs to actually reach it.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of people are thinking that it's Russia, because Russia has those, and they're sitting on the border waiting to shoot down planes. So that's why a lot of people are thinking it was them.
I got you.
And now Russia, from the stories that I had read last night, was saying that they didn't have anything close enough to the plane that would have reached the plane at that height.
Okay. So we're dealing with pretty much a kind of a mystery right now.
I blame the pilot that flew over a war zone.
That actually would be probably the person to blame, or the airline company that decided it would be okay to send a passenger jet through a war zone.
Well, I will say that definitely part of it is that you should not be flying planes over war zones unless you are a war zone pilot in an attack vehicle.
Yeah, if you're not dropping bombs or shooting something, don't fly in a war zone.
Yeah. Like, you ain't got the maneuverability to outrun stuff.
I mean, how many months has this airspace been disputed, and they've been shooting at everything in the sky?
And these guys thought they could just get through it, though.
Figure out a better flight path.
Now, this particular Boeing 777 had been in the air for 20 years, but had also previously had at least 10 serious incidents, according to the aviation safety database. So this plane itself isn't exactly the peak of safety.
Well, if you put missiles through it, I imagine, I don't really think that how old that plane, I mean, it's not like a new plane would have just had the missile bounce off of it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it was that in the 20 years it had 10 serious incidents.
So you don't think it was a missile?
I have no idea.
Maybe you shut it down.
Possibly.
Well, I do feel for the families of everybody that died. I feel bad for Malaysian Air, too, because this is like this. I mean, just recently, this is the second major international thing that's happened when it's their plane is the one that either, disappears or gets shot out of the sky. Like, maybe, do they have a competitor that we don't know about? Like, is there a competitor to Malaysian Air that's just messing with them now?
That's the first thing I thought of, is really another Malaysian airplane. Well, at least they found this one.
Well,
it was smoking. It was sending up smoke signals for people to find it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? I was like, really, if you have a flight booked on Malaysian Airlines, just cancel. Cancel.
Yeah.
You want to buy my Malaysian Airlines frequent flyer miles?
Their planes tend to not stay up in the sky regardless of the reason.
Yeah. Yeah, this is bad business right here. And again, we don't know exactly what had happened yet. And I do think that a lot of people with agendas will take this as... Yeah, hold on. First off, let me just say, is that there are some people out there that really do feel like we are the policemen of the world. But I mean like in the actual policeman kind of sense of investigations.
Yes.
There's no... Look, this ain't America. This ain't anywhere near America. We're not the ones that will investigate the crash.
Yeah, it's not our plane. It's not our problem. It's not our border.
Yeah. Like, well, have we done our investigation yet? It ain't ours to do.
Yeah.
I can't even say, I mean, I don't even see reports that show that there was a large amount of American passengers on the flight.
They can't confirm any of that stuff. And that's the other thing. Like, what I don't understand is, like, how do you not know if there was an American on the flight or not? Like, you look at the list, you take a look at the list of people that were on the plane, compare it to, pull the ones out and see if any of them are American. And if there are, then count them and then give us the count. It's like we can't confirm whether there are any American people on board or not, but this is an outrage for Americans. Well, hold on a second, guy. If they don't know for sure if there's any Americans on there, then maybe you ought to not talk about that part yet. Like, we don't know who's on it yet, so let's not try to come to any conclusions. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know why
It's
you
just-
thought I was going to say
Oh, my bad.
anything.
All right. All right, my bad then. So here's the thing. We don't know what happened. We don't know who was on board necessarily, if there's Americans or not. We're not the policemen of the world. We don't have we don't go out there and do an investigation in somebody else's country, and then they're like, well, we're afraid that the Russians are going to take all the pieces and bring them back. Here's the thing: if a Mexican plane crashed in Mexico in a disputed area between the United States and Mexico, and the U.S. went in there to grab the all the stuff, right, and all the stuff and bring it back over there. Would we really give a crap if Russia had a problem with that?
No.
What's the difference between that incident and what we're talking about right now?
That people think America is the police force of the world.
Yeah.
Like, we're the investigators.
I mean, look, I don't like the UN any more than anybody else does, to be honest with you, and I'd like us to get out of the UN. But look, if you want to use what the UN's for, then this would be it. Go have the UN investigate that crap. I mean, it's not our job. I'm looking through the Constitution. Still can't find the part where we're in charge of investigating airline crashes of airliners that aren't ours in countries that we aren't part of.
It's probably in the FAA charter somewhere.
Well, I imagine so.
And this is an airline company that is not U.S. based.
None, not at all.
So there is
Malaysian Air.
right. That's the name.
That's not a city in like Washington State. Or even Nebraska for that instance. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is not an American airline company. This was a passenger jet that was not anywhere near U.S. soil. And with 298 passengers that we can't confirm, not even one of them was an American citizen.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess that there wasn't any, because if there was one, then you guys would have been touting it all through the news already.
Right, exactly. It would have been like one death is too many.
No. And here's the thing. I take a very different view of foreign policy on this one. If you shot down an airline and there were some Americans on there, at that point you made it our business. I want to find out who the hell shot it down so we could go kill that person.
It would be used as a pretense for war, and it wouldn't surprise me if things escalate further because of this. I mean, it has taken much less to start wars in that region. That region is where world wars start every time.
Yeah.
It is.
And another one is going to come from this. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and these guys are. Look, what you see going on right now too, and this is really the bad part is that the neocons are out there in force, really trying to drum up the battle for World War III. They want to fight with Russia big time, and I think they're viewing it like maybe this is their last chance to have a big fight with Russia. But boy, are they looking for one.
They're disappointed they didn't get to fight with Russia back in the 80s, and they want to do it now while they still got the chance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at reports, and I, there's the People's Republic have headed to the scene and said the plane was definitely shot down, and it was Russia. And they say that their defense didn't have anything that could reach that height. Russia says Kyiv absolutely deployed equipment that could have shot down that plane several days before the plane was shot down. So both sides are blaming the other one and saying we don't have the equipment to have done it.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't believe either one of them have an investigation.
Yeah.
But America doesn't need to have the investigation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, this is the problem when it comes to dealing with all these different countries. Is there's no good guys out here. There's no good guys at all. It ain't like the Ukrainians the good guys and the Russians are the bad guys, or the Russians are the good guys and the Ukrainians are the bad guys. They're both bad guys. All right, let's just go with a new rule, okay? New rule is technically every other country's the bad guy. We shouldn't be dealing with any of them. You want to go with that rule? I mean,
Free trade with all.
Yeah, entangling alliances with none. If they got a bill of goods you want to do some trading with, by all means go with it.
Okay.
Other than that, quit messing around. And you know what? If these guys are going to have this whole thing with the Ukraine has just as much fault to do with the EU and and the U.S. and Russia, all of them were messed up on this one. Because at the end of the day, it was the people that were there that felt that they were more aligned with Russia than they were with the Ukrainians or whatever, or the Crimean. Well, no, the Ukrainians. They felt more connected with Russia, but you people wanted to put these guys in the damn EU. So that caused the people there to want to riot and say, I don't want to go to the damn EU. Who could blame them? I mean, you guys suck all day. And America's like, yeah, make them go to the EU. You know what? That's not what should have happened. But then you guys wanted to keep pushing this thing down to push your damn, and again, dare I say it, one world agenda. And Russia doesn't want any part of that, which is another reason why you don't like them. Don't get me wrong. Russia's not a bunch of good guys. They're a bunch of damn communists. Don't like them that much either. But you know what, though? Russia's trying to bring people that want to be part of their country into their country. The election was a fair election. It was held fairly, I think.
Well, I can understand a little reservation with that because Russia also at one time was bringing people into their country who did not want to be in their country.
Yeah. No. They've geeked up too, though. Again, they're not good guys. You know, I don't want to make it sound like Russia is a bunch of good guys. They're not. Again, I don't think that they're necessarily the worst people in the world either, but I mean, they're the damn Russians. Again, I don't like collectivism in and of itself. You know? And the guy that runs the joint was from the KGB. And to be honest with you, conservatives should love Vladimir Putin, by the way. I mean, in reality, he's about what you guys are.
Yeah.
You know, I think maybe the reason you don't like Putin is because Putin reminds you too much of yourself. And you got to hate yourself. But you can't like the Russian. But I've seen people say good things about Putin. Hell, I think I might even said a nice thing or two about Putin from time to time. You know? The guy does look a little, you know, he might kick your ass.
Oh, he will unquestionably
he's
kick your ass.
He's an ass kicker.
Yeah, no doubt.
And not like I wear mom jeans Obama ass kicker that can't bowl for shit and that throws like a girl. Like this dude will mess you up. I mean, he was KGB.
Out like,
oh yeah. Oh my God.
I've watched enough crazy videos on the internet of Russians. I'm pretty sure all Russians can kick ass, even the women.
Well, I think in order to live in that country, like it's so damn cold and it's so damn rough living, and communism ain't like it ain't like capitalism where they get heat all the time, you know, or food all the time. So given those scenarios, I mean, you know, it's got to be tough, but you know, it could be worse. Honestly, Vladimir Putin shows what a pussy of a president we have. He really does. He really does. Mom jeans, bowling under 100, throws like a girl. Works out like I mean, look, I know
like
chicks that work out. Yeah, I know chicks that work out harder than that. It really is sad. But then again, though, dude will assassinate American citizens without trial. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. Don't make it like he's going to come and do it. He won't do it himself. But, you know, he's happened to have an army that will do it for him. And that's not good. And he will assassinate American citizens without trial. They have increased the drone operations in multiple countries, and they've upped the drone activity up to an amazing amount. You know what I mean? And so it's not like Obama's not a neocon warmonger. He just happens to be one that works out like a chick. I mean, well, I'm sorry. That's an offense to chicks because he's way worse than chicks. You know what I mean? It's like, I got mom jeans. I'm going to throw a ball, but I will bomb the piss out you.
Yeah.
So
Obama couldn't do American Ninja Warrior.
Look, no. Obama couldn't even say the word American Ninja Warrior.
No, Biden could not say the word American Ninja Warrior.
Well, he could, but then he'd make some kind of racist comment after that, too. Which I don't understand why Biden doesn't get in trouble for all the damn racist comments that he makes about, well, you know where the Indians are whenever you go to a 7-Eleven, they're there. It's like, dude says the most racist, freaking ignorant shit and out there going. And somehow he doesn't get it. He gets, you know what it is? Because he's like your drunk uncle.
He is.
Yeah.
He's your drunk uncle. It's like, oh, that's just drunk Uncle Biden. You know, I know he's offensive. Just, you know, give him a drink, sit him in the corner. He'll stop in a minute.
There he is again. What's he going to say this time?
Yeah, it's all stupid. I mean, it just pisses me off, man. I'm just angry right now. I maybe you can't tell, but
Well, there's a lot of other people angry. I know it's not in the show prep, but there's some kind of breaking news going down about this whole Israel-Palestine conflict. Overnight, protesters took the Israeli embassy in Istanbul. Apparently, the embassy is on fire, and the Israeli flag has been taken down, and a Palestinian flag has been raised above it.
hold on, say that again.
In Istanbul, Turkey.
Which that's in Turkey, right?
Oh, in
That's
Turkey. Okay,
yeah,
in
this
Turkey.
is not
In Istanbul, Turkey. I mean, it's not far.
It's not far, but it's not in that country. This is in Turkey.
In Istanbul, Turkey, the Israeli embassy has been overrun by protesters, and their flag has been taken down. A Palestinian flag has been raised over it, and the embassy's burning. The extent of the damage is unknown so far.
And that's another conflict that, we are hearing just a lot about, and I don't think you're getting an accurate portrait on either side, really. I mean, it's another area that conflict is always there. It's always present. It's ingrained in the culture and kind of the differences in culture there that are fighting over borders that, we kind of messed with. And and you just see a continuous battle there, and it's not going to stop, and our involvement isn't making it better.
Not in any way.
Yeah, this is another one of those. It just makes me love the fact that I've supported non-interventionist foreign policy. It really does, because you know what? Nobody has answers to this stuff, man. Those people are going to have to figure it out themselves. And I will say this: I think personally that we have done more in the way of standing in the way of making these two sides actually come up with a solution. Because with America there, then the status quo can remain. With America not there, the status quo cannot continue, and they have to go to the table and come up with a solution. That's what they'd have to do. And you got to remember. Look, because we donate or give away so much money to not only Israel, but to all the people around Israel.
To everyone.
To everyone. I mean, we pay them all off. We need to stop paying all of them off. Because if that's the case, then they go, well, look, you guys are going to have to handle this one on your own. We're not going to get involved in this crap. Whatever you guys decide is whatever you guys decide. And get the hell out. Then those people are going to have to make that decision at that point.
We can't really do that with this because we've been involved in this from day one, and we have picked a side from day one.
Right.
We can't just say, oh, this is your problem. We created this problem. We've been funding this problem. We've been arming this problem. This is just as much our problem as it is theirs.
Well, more involvement with us will not fix the problem.
We have a great advantage that all of our people are over here and not getting killed in this conflict. We just get to watch it on the news. But we are fully vested in this conflict.
Well, we need to stop being vested in the conflict, though. We need to get out of it, though.
I mean, we created it.
It was created. We didn't. Me and you didn't create it. Nobody that's involved in the current administration right now or in government right now was the one that actually started this thing. Just leave it. Just stop funding it. Stop funding it all, though. Don't get the hell out of all of it and say, you know what? You guys got to deal with it yourselves now. And again, I understand. But here's the thing: we've done this before, though. It's not just in Israel. We've done this all over the place. The British did it in Iraq.
We did it in Iraq.
We did it in Iraq. Well, the British did it in Iraq before we did it in Iraq. But,
right.
Well,
we showed them how we're going to do it better.
Yeah. Oh, you did that all wrong. Here, let me redraw those lines.
Yeah. When I redraw them, it works out better. I mean, hell, we funded Iraq and we funded Iran during the war that they had with each other.
Right.
We gave both sides arms, let them kill each other off. We funded the guys that are now considered ISIS. McCain was taking selfies with these people.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about the new age? It wasn't like there's an old, grainy picture of Rumsfeld shaking Saddam Hussein's hand, which is proof enough that we were doing it with Saddam Hussein. But we got McCain, an old-ass McCain, with a selfie with dudes that are now part of ISIS because we were giving them stuff. Again, how much protection are we doing for Israel when we're funding them?
Well, when we're funding everyone, and And I do understand we did create a lot of this conflict. I mean, we're to blame for a large portion of it. There's also a lot of cultural differences that that in that area people just culturally hate each other for religious and other reasons.
Yeah, the Saudis hate all of them, which is really the big problem in Saudi Arabia.
But
that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Our continued involvement isn't helping a problem that, yes, we did create a lot of. So, it's like we always say, well, the problem to too much government is not more government. Well, the problem of too much intervention overseas is not more intervention. You don't do this well. No matter who is in charge of the U.S., you really, really suck at foreign relations when you're intervening in another sovereign country.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and again, you know what, Greg, you're right. We caused a lot of those problems. I can't see us being the solution to any of them.
Yeah.
Do you see us as a solution to any of these problems, Greg?
Not at all.
Not even a little bit.
The only solution that the United States have to anything is shoot it down, blow it up,
or throw money at it.
That's all we got. Well,
or bribe it.
Yeah, it's either throw money at it or just kill it.
Yeah, and so until we go full bore because we've been going full bore at throwing money at it, and that's not getting us anywhere. It's just giving everybody else more weapons.
Well, here's the thing. Look, it's always the funny part about the Israeli conflict, too. And anytime you talk about it in any kind of anytime you bring up the Israeli situation in anything that's not glowing to Israel, it's somehow considered anti-Semitic, which I'll never figure out. But it's the same thing the left does when anything that is going to criticize any government program is being racist. It works the same way, and all of it's just hypocrisy. Because just like there's no good guys and bad guys that are going on in the Russia thing. Look, there's not really any good guys or bad guys that's going on in the Iraqi or in the Israel-Palestinian problem here. There's bad guys on both sides, and there's also good guys on both sides. At the end of the day, what you have is a whole lot of people that just want to be left alone, and a bunch of people with an agenda on both sides that are just fighting it out and keeping all you people in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to. And then you have a country, us, funding the whole damn thing.
On all sides.
On all sides. Because here's the thing. Some of our money is making it to the damn Palestinians, to the PLO, to the Hamas guys. You're going to say some of our money's not making it over there? They're like, well, Iran's funding it. You know what? Do you really think that they're funding it more than we are? Again, McCain, selfie, ISIS. Piss off if you think that they're doing any more than that. Or if we're not involved somehow. Really? Open your eyes. If you go, well, it's just the Iranians. They're the bad guys. Do me a favor. Remove your head out of your ass and take a look at what's really going on over there. And again, selfie, McCain, ISIS. It's a real picture. It's not some kind of wacky ass conspiracy theory. It's been admitted everywhere. We've done articles here on the show, not that were from other people, that showed exactly what was going on, that we funded this crap. Here's the thing. Let's break this down one more time so everybody understands. We go into Iraq. We take over Iraq. We remove all of the government that was currently going on in there. Chaos ensues. Because of that, it created a vacuum. Had a big civil war between Sunnis and Shias and all this stuff. We pick a side. We put the guys in charge. They're corrupt. They hate the other side. They boot all the other guys out.
And we draw the lines of where each of these groups can go.
Yeah, and we draw the lines of where everybody can go. Then we get thrown out. Not leave. Got thrown out. Again, and make sure I stop real quick. We got thrown out. You cannot blame Obama why we're not in Iraq anymore. His neocon ass wanted to stay. He wanted to stay. Let's make that clear. He wanted to stay. They threw his ass out. As they should have done. But what happens after that? Violence ensues. So what do? Well, there's a war going on in Syria with a bunch of guys that used to be fighting us in Iraq. Here's a good idea. Let's go in there, give them a whole bunch of weapons, take a selfie with them, do all kinds of stuff like that. What do? They take said weapons and go into Iraq. Now, what happens in Iraq? Well, the guys that we were trying to fund and train and give all of Americans weapons
Who have our weapons,
said, no, I'm sorry, we're a bunch of pussies. We drop our weapons because we don't care about defending our own country, and we run away. And we've literally given the ISIS guys two armories. One that we gave to them in Afghanistan or in Syria. One that we gave because we gave it to the Iraqis, who are a bunch of damn pussies. And they drop all their weapons. These guys pick them up, and they take over half the country, not even without firing a shot, but with gaining probably 1.5 million rounds and a bunch of equipment. Like, it's the opposite of what you would normally see. Like, normally the armies, when they're marching, don't get more well-equipped. They get less equipped.
Right. You deplete resources as you march in, not gain them.
Yeah, these guys were gaining resources as they come in. And again, remember, I want to start back over there. We funded their ass in the beginning when they were fighting Syria, but somehow we think they're just going to stay. Now, you guys just stay in Syria now. Don't go anywhere else. Sure, we won't. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it.
You guys just stay in the United States and don't go anywhere else.
No problem, Mr. American. We will not go anywhere other than in Iraq. I mean, we will stay here in Syria, and then we will take over Baghdad. Damascus. These guys knew what was going on. And the thing is, they couldn't take over Assad, even with all the crap that they were doing. So they go over there. They start a caliphate going on over there, and then now it's like, and who wants to protect the border? Oh, and who wants to protect Baghdad right now?
I don't know who.
Iran. Iran, folks. What?
The world is upside down.
Crazy. And honestly, it's upside down because we've tilted it.
And every weapon says made in the USA.
Yeah. On both sides. Imagine that.
Yeah. It is too easy to find pictures of Palestinian fighters, Syrian fighters holding M16s. There's only one place that makes M16s.
And I always love how you see a lot of people going, well, look at, they're just walking down the street with those heavy arms. Where do you think they got them?
Well, people aren't going to be walking down the streets of America with AKs anymore. Did you hear about the latest sanctions that Obama's trying to do? In an attempt to sanction Russia and further punish them, Obama has signed an executive order that is going to ban the import of AK-47s and their parts.
What has that got to do? I mean, at the end of the day, what has that really got to do? How is that going to harm Russia?
It's not.
No, it's a veiled gun ban in the United States that he's using Russia as an excuse to implement.
Right.
So yes,
it's and like I said, it doesn't matter the administration. It doesn't matter who's in charge. They really, really suck at intervening in other countries' business.
Yeah.
Like, we don't help. Do you think like countries around the world are like, stop helping?
Your help is not help.
Like when the kids, say, I'm going to help you, Mom. And like they come in and you're like, no, please stop helping.
The best way to help is for you to go play.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, do you think countries around the world are like, oh, God, just stop helping?
Yeah. They're going to start treating us like the little kid. The best way for you to help is to go play in your room.
Just, look at, here's a new toy. Go over there and play.
It's just the worst, man. I don't understand it. I mean, I really don't. I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed that this is what we got to deal with. Like we ain't got enough problems domestically as it is right now. Now we got to deal with all this other crap.
Well, and we have now gold is on the rise because of all the conflict.
Imagine that.
And the reason is people are looking at a stable currency. And this is, all the speculators and everything are looking at, everyone is investing in gold because with all of the conflict all over the world, people are not sure which dollar is going to collapse because basically most of them are built on, are backed by nothing. So people are investing large amounts of money in gold. The price of gold is going to go up. It's actually kind of down for the week, but has been rising at the later part of the week. So you're going to keep seeing these things. And then you have to wonder why people in the U.S. don't understand. When we talk about like ending the Fed or talking about our financial problems and backing our money with something and things like that, and they're like, well, no, we're fine. Everyone in the world knows when there's conflict to buy gold. Like, we took our own currency off of it. Why doesn't anyone get that this was a bad thing?
Well,
stupidity. I guess I'm gonna go with that.
and the BRICS nations are going to make it even worse for us now. They are now signing together a $100 billion deal to create a new central bank that's going to compete with the Fed and the U.S. dollar and take our status as world reserve currency.
Right. And the only reason and the only thing that's actually keeping the dollar stable, if you can call it losing 98% of its value stable.
Well, I think it's the stability has been going, just consistently down.
Right.
So I guess that you could consider to be somewhat stable.
It's consistent. Yeah. So, but the only thing that's been propping that up is that it is the world's reserve currency. It's used to buy oil, basically. It's the petrodollar. And now there's competition to that. So you're not even going to see the stability in the dollar, which is why everyone's backing out and going to gold. And the price of gold is going to keep going up. I got to tell you, anyone, and I'm not giving you investment advice, but buy gold. It's going to be a good investment. But, and we can't even trust the government right now to like keep servers up or emails archived and things like that. But we're like, yeah, we need to investigate that plane crashing over there, and we need to get involved in this Palestinian Israeli conflict because we can solve it. We can't even keep emails. Like, Alex, you get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
Could you find an email from several months ago?
Yeah, I don't know if I still had it. Yeah, I think I would.
But like you could go in there and plug it in and probably find it.
Oh yeah.
And important emails, you have a backup for. You have those and keep those, right? And you could find them.
Yeah.
How come the IRS has 7 server crashes and nobody knows where these emails are?
Well, I mean, we know the reason for this one. The reason is because it's got definitely incriminating, damning evidence that shows that the Obama administration was using the IRS as a political retaliation arm of their, communist regime or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. Just a bunch of corporatist bastards is what they are. But it would have been the smoking gun that would have put a whole bunch of people in jail. And there's no way they'd want that to happen. So that's why they crash servers. And they don't give a crap. They're like, look, we're going to crash all our servers. We're not going to tell you nothing. And you know what? And you're going to take it.
Now, and this is, and someone did this out. Now, the odds of winning the Florida lottery, because we're going to put this in perspective, this IRS scandal.
Yeah.
The odds of winning the Florida lottery are 1 in 22,957,480.
Damn. That's good odds, man.
Yeah. The odds of winning the Powerball are 1 in 175,223,510. The odds of
I gotta quit playing Powerball.
Yeah, right. The odds of winning Mega Millions are 1 in 258,890,850.
Well, I'm glad I don't play Mega Millions. Oh, that game really sucks.
The odds of a disk drive failing in any given month are roughly 1 in 36. The odds of 2 different drives failing in the same month are roughly 1 in 36 squared, or 1 in 1,296. The odds of 3 drives failing in the same month are 1 in 36 cubed, or 1 in 46,656. The odds of 7 different drives failing in the same month are 1 in 36 to the 7th power, which is 1 in 78,664,164,096. In other words, the odds are greater that you will win the Florida lottery 342 times than that the 7 IRS hard drives would crash in the same month.
I don't know if those odds are taking into account the just how well the American government does at screwing things up. I think it really increases their chances of that happening. I don't know.
Yeah. While I appreciate what you're saying, Danielle. Well, no. Don't get me wrong. Look, at the same time, though, these things didn't crash. Well, they did, but here's the thing. It's the kind of crash to where you're driving and you turn the wheel and you crash on purpose.
Right.
Like, they crashed on purpose. You know what I mean? Because they don't want the truth to come out. Here's the thing. I got the solution for the IRS problem that we have right now. Nobody even needs to go to jail. We're just going to close it all down. Just, the IRS goes away. You've realized, it's like somebody peeing in the pool. All right, everybody out of the pool. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, IRS, obviously you can't handle this, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of you right now and eliminate the organization all in and of itself. The IRS is the first one that should go.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that when you look at the odds, it's the plausibility of the story, because their story is, well, I don't know, this hard drive crashed, and then that one did, and then this one did, and then that one did, and then this one did. And we need to put it in perspective. And the reason why I say that is because the mainstream media isn't putting it into perspective. They're making it like, oh, look, boy, they had a bad month.
Yeah. and they kind of equate it to the same IT problems that everybody has. It's like, oh, you can relate to a hard drive crash. Oh yeah, I've had that happen to me before. But that's not exactly what happened.
Right.
This isn't like your laptop, like you spilled Mountain Dew on your laptop or something.
Screen of death on your PC.
Anybody who's ever worked in any kind of government field understands the redundancies and especially if you've worked in IT. This is ridiculous. There is no way that this could happen. It is insulting to anyone who has ever worked in the computer field to listen to this story.
Yeah.
I just want to smack them when they are saying this. And I'm sure Adrian said the same thing. I'm sure he finds this very insulting that they would say this. Because you're completely incompetent if this is the case. We can't trust you with anything. I wouldn't even trust you guys with a potato gun at this point.
No, they would screw. Honestly, if you gave them the desert, we'd have a sand problem in 3 days, and it would be because of a sand shortage. Somehow we have a shortage in sand. It's amazing. We gave you a desert, sand shortage. Every day all we have is example after example as to why libertarianism is really the only solution. I mean, let's just not even mess around anymore. The only solution that you have left to even try to save this country is libertarianism. You're welcome, by the way. I mean, seriously, you're welcome, because we're honestly almost too good for you. You deserve more. You know what? Okay, hold on. I'm going to say this, and people are going to be happy when I say it. It might come out the wrong way, and if it does, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know what, man? We as a country deserve everything we're getting right now. Collectively, as a country, we deserve the whole nine. Be honest with you, we deserve it. You know why? Because there's been people, the greatest generation. I'm about to come after you people now. Because here's the thing. You people have been voting the longest. You people have been the ones that have been okay with this corruption. You people are the ones that have been re-electing this corruption. You people are the ones that are funding this corruption. You people are the ones that did it, and did it for your 30 pieces of silver because they sold you a lie a long, long time ago. But now you want yours, and you're willing to screw up everything to make sure that it happens. Not only that, but you are okay with political parties that are willing to use the force of government to cause a monopoly in the political process to where we can't even fix this thing when we run for office. And then you people somehow have the friggin' nerve to tell me, well, we can't vote for you. You don't have a whole bunch of money. Because we don't take the damn bribes? Because we won't take the bribes, and we won't play the game with the scumbags that fucked it all up anyway? And you're going to tell me, well, you can't vote for that guy. You're going to have to vote for one of the other scumbags that really screwed everything all up because, well, your guy just doesn't have a whole lot of money. Screw you, you asshole. You are a piece of shit if that's your fucking thought process. And the reason why is you fucked it up. We didn't fuck it up. You did. So here's the thing. Why don't you do this? Drop your affiliation to the scumbags you've been dropping it to right now. Come over to us. Beg for fucking forgiveness. And then just vote for libertarians. Done. Problem solved, people. Problem solved. And you know what? Just like the one guy said, that the guy up in, Gilbert, up in Arkansas. The world's not going to end. We will fix this stuff. And we will... The one thing we're going to do is we're going to bring back honesty. That's what we're going to do first. That's what you need first, is honesty. Because you need somebody to go up there in charge to honestly tell you shit is screwed up. That's not going to sugarcoat it and go, well, we're going to have this program, and we're going to have this program, and we're going to have this program. We're going to go, no, you know what, guys? Seriously, this is really, really screwed up. So what we're going to do, we're going to close all these different things down. We're going to promote some charities for you, though. Because we're going to need some charities. Everybody's going to have to get together here and voluntarily try to help out as a society, try to get this stuff fixed. Again, if you'd have put Perot in office in 94, probably wouldn't have had this problem right now. But because you people believe the lies, and then this whole thing about he elected Clinton, by the way, the next person that says that to me, I'm going to consider it to be a violation of the NAP. I'm going to consider saying that Perot elected Clinton as a violation of the NAP, and I am going to act accordingly because it's arrogant on two levels. One, you just don't even know what you're talking about because the people that were going out to vote wouldn't have gone. A lot of those people wouldn't have gone out to vote or would have voted for Clinton anyway. So it's a wash. At best, it's a wash. The second thing is this: is that what you don't understand is that you somehow think that we should be voting for Republicans, like they're going to solve this problem. Now, remember. Republican-controlled House in Tallahassee, Republican-controlled Senate, Republican governor. How are they doing in Tallahassee? Largest budget ever. Ever. Largest budget going on right now. Republicans in charge during 2006. Control the House, control the Senate, and control the presidency of Washington, D.C. What happened? 2 wars, double the size of the federal government, and on all honesty, open the door for Obama.
Yeah, TSA, NSA, Patriot Act, everything bad that you hate right now was started by a Republican House, Republican Senate, and Republican president.
Don't get me wrong, Obama got in there, doubled down on all the shit, and started assassinating American citizens. So he upped the game on the game you started. But you started the game. And then you guys have the nerve to come, well, we got to take the House back and the Senate back. Who's this we shit, you assholes? Who's this we thing? I don't understand the we thing. I'm trying to figure out the we thing. Because there ain't no we up in Washington right now, okay? How many guys up there even worth the crap? I'm going to give you 3 guys. I'm going to give you 4. I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do 4 this week. I'm going to be very optimistic and do 4. Justin Amash, who the Republicans are actively trying to get rid of.
Right.
Thomas Massey.
Yeah, who I'm starting to like more and more.
Like Massey. Mike Lee. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
And I'll even give you Rand this time, even though I really don't like Rand, but I'll give you Rand this time. Out of 535 people, you got 4. And they're trying to kill all 4.
Right.
Like, again, they are going after all 4. Look, the neocons are in a hissy fit right now over Rand Paul getting any love whatsoever. So you got the you know, here's the thing, too. Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney are some of the worst examples. Liz Cheney, for instance, is the worst example of a woman ever. She can't even do interviews without her dad.
Yeah.
What is that? The joint interviews, her and her dad. Like, what a weak woman that is.
Yeah, and and it really bothers me as someone, who politics is hard enough to be involved in as it is. I mean, it is really a difficult industry, but to be a woman in it, I mean, it takes a lot to be taken seriously. And she knocks down every other woman in the field every time she goes in an interview with her dad, because it's like, oh, you need some man or daddy to come hold your hand through an interview. No, you know what? Just talk. If you can't do this on your own, whether you're a man or a woman, if you need mommy or daddy with you, You're not cut out for this.
Yep. No. Embarrassment. Well, look, it's the neocon chicken hawks as it is. I mean, she's another one of them. You know, because she ain't going to put a uniform on and go stand a post, even though she totally want to set policy that would do that very thing and make our troops cannon fodder. You know, that's what she'd want to do. But, you know, her and her neocon dad, you know, they're out there, well, I don't know if I could vote for Rand Paul. Hey, look, lady, I don't think you should if you wanted to vote for Rand Paul, I would consider it to be a problem. You Trotsky-eyed communist. Fucking hate her. I hate these people, man. Look, here's the thing. Look, the Democrats are a bunch of socialist pegs or whatever, all right? I'll give you all that. But they admit their collectivism. They admit it. They will admit it, and they should not be voted for. They should not be supported at all. But I'll tell you what they don't do. They don't do what the neocons do. The neocons lie. The neocons continue to lie, and they use just as bad. You know what it is? They're not worse than the Democrats. They are the Democrats. Mm-hmm. They're just the other side of them. That's it, man. That's it. That's what they are. If you support that, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't want to tell you. They're the enemy of liberty. Hell, hold on. I want to tell you guys something right now. And you guys may already know this. Greg, in Illinois, in order to get on the ballot, if you're a Republican, do you know how many signatures you need?
If you're a Republican,
yeah,
you probably don't need any signatures.
No, I think it's
no.
Like
there's a number.
15,000.
There's a number. No, not even that. How high do you think?
A Republican, 2,000.
Okay, 500. If you're a Democrat, how many do you need?
Well, I think it's the same.
No, actually, it is different.
I don't know then.
800. If you're a libertarian or some other third party, how many signatures you need?
44,000.
300,000.
No, 25,000. I know what you're going. Well, how come they had 44,000? Because now here's what happened. So in Illinois, the Libertarians trying to get on the ballot submitted 44,000 petitions. They only needed 25,000. You know who's suing them?
The Republicans.
The people that need 500. The Republicans. Your inclusion and involvement in that party supports that. And I know you're going to go, no, it doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't support that. Yes, it does. Your inclusion empowers that. So you can go ahead and stay there if you want to. But if you do, and people like me call you names, I don't want you to act surprised like there's not a reason for it. Or like you haven't deserved it. Because you have. You do. You do deserve it. Because you're perpetuating a system that creates a monopoly. So, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm just mad.
No, you're right. That's what I was going to say. You're rolling around with the pigs, and you got all their mud on you, too.
Yeah, you can't. What happened? Is that
Don't worry, I'll handle it.
Jesus. You know, you can't have it both ways. You can't say you're pro-liberty and pro the Constitution and then support a party that literally makes it so a libertarian and then complain that the third-party guy just can't seem to get it done. Like, you guys can't seem to get it done. You can't raise the money. Well, because we don't get the money from the special interests who are robbing us blind. I mean, we just did something on corporatism.
We don't take the bribe.
So we don't get the money from the bribe. We don't get the bribe money.
And all the rules are against us.
And all the rules are against us. But that's our fault.
Right. And it's the other sides that make the rules, that make them to be against us. And we don't take the bribe to overcome the rules that they made against us.
And they get mad at us because we're not be able to fund enough money.
Right.
They're the ones that are lighting a turtle on fire and stomping on it and going, "Why are you mad at me? Because you're on our side. You're a big, powerful person."
Well, yeah. Then they talk about you. Well, you guys just won't unify with us. Maybe I have some kind of a little bit of an issue when it comes to evil. I don't know.
Maybe I don't want to go to hell with you.
You know,
maybe I don't want to go to hell with you. I mean,
I always love where you see people that say, you know, there's too much money in politics and it's all the corruption and the money that's corrupting all of them. That's the problem. And then say, well, you know, I would vote for you, but your candidate doesn't raise enough money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, wait, I don't think you actually understand what you just said.
The money is the problem, but we can't vote for the guys who don't have any money because that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
I wish cognitive dissonance was painful. That way Americans could actually learn how stupid they are somehow. They could, if they could feel it in some way, just how stupid they are, then maybe they might not be so stupid anymore.
Like maybe if we were allowed to just smack them every time they said something like that.
Yeah.
We're like, eventually people are like, oh, you can't think that way because someone will come and hit you.
Can we get that? Can we get that listed as a violation of the NAP? That way we're not held accountable for whatever we do after somebody says that kind of dumb stuff.
Well, yeah. Hold on. And I almost feel remiss without mentioning this. Have you guys seen the interviews, the Rick Scott interviews?
Mm-hmm. No, but I do have one on a video to play in the next hour.
Oh, you do?
I do. The one from Noah Pransky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna play that next hour.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God.
But and I just have to, and this is just and I thought, I mean, it's not a fun story if you're the reporter on the other end of this, but I thought it was funny. The TSA, and these are the people who are supposed to keep us safe. You know, like all you neocons were ready to give up your liberties so that we could have a TSA groping small children and elderly people because, you know, that'll keep the terrorists away. And the TSA agent actually stopped a reporter in Orlando. This is in Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
And asked for their passport because they wouldn't accept their driver's license as ID because it came from the District of Columbia. And they refused to admit that the District of Columbia existed and existed in the U.S.
I don't know if they're stupid or libertarian. Because I've heard people make that argument and make sense, and I've heard people make that argument and be stupid.
They demanded he show his passport and wouldn't let him through because and now the TSA is like, you know, we train all of our people to look for faulty, fake, fraudulent identification.
Well, apparently the training is taking to some degree if TSA agents are recognizing residents of D.C. as threats to the rest of America.
That is true.
Yeah. Everybody with a D.C. driver's license is on the no-fly list now. That'd be funny if it was, though.
But he actually was like, you know, because it says Colombia, they refused to let him through until he showed a passport, which he did not have because it was a domestic flight. and finally, after a couple of the managers were called, he was allowed through. But they stand by their procedures that their training is effective, and that, you know, everyone is properly trained to look at a driver's license to make sure it's not fraudulent. And they had no problem with a TSA agent not understanding where the District of Columbia was, that it was not actually in the country of Colombia. But you voted to have the TSA grope our children and our elderly.
Yeah, do you think these people are keeping you safe? That's the question. I mean, question number one, do you really think that these people are keeping you safe? Brought to us by the Republicans, by the way. Thank you very much, Republicans.
If they institute a policy of not letting anybody out of D.C., then we might start getting a little safer.
Yeah. It's just so irritating. So damn irritating. What can you do?
You're really angry this morning. Like
it just irks me, man. It's like, and you still hear people have the nerve to say, like, well, you know, you libertarians, you can't win. You know, you guys don't have the money. You guys just might get a Democrat elected. Like, I just get irritated with hearing the ignorance, man. And it's pure, unadulterated, 100% from concentrate ignorance. It's like, you people should know better. Look, somebody that's not in the know politically, all right, I go with that. But those are the people that actually won't do that shit.
Right.
It's the people that are that think that they know what they're doing that will do that. That will go, oh, well, you know, we got to vote Republican because, you know, we got to keep it going. Like, just because you got snowed over like an idiot because you're a moron and you can't lead yourself, and you're one of the reasons this country's in the position that it's in. Don't come to me like you actually know a damn thing. Because you don't know shit. You don't know a damn thing at all. You're a dumbass. You're a follower. And the thing is this. The problem is you need to be following us, not following the scumbags you're following right now. But you won't do that because we don't pay you enough. Assholes. Piss off. Sorry. I'm just saying. I'm pissed this morning, though. All right, hour number 1's in the bag. I can't even curse in hour number 2 because it's going to be live on Tan Talk in hour number 2. Hour number 2 is coming up here. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette, see if I can calm down a little bit. But I'll tell you what, people. You better change your ways. Because if you don't, it's wedgies for all of you. This is Liberty Underground. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authoritative man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, Danielle Alexandra. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing well?
Yes.
Does he have your mic up?
I have no idea.
I can't barely hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's.
I can hear.
Oh, you can? Okay, well, then we're all good then. Prime Minister of the Sinister, Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Good, good.
All right. Hopefully everybody's having a good week out there in the Tampa Bay area. We're live on Tan Talk 1340. Under the, there's a lot of different skills that are out there in the world. One of the skills that has been identified, not necessarily a positive skill, but a skill nonetheless that's been identified, is the ability to not actually ever answer a question that you've been asked. And it is very difficult at times to be able to do. However, seems to be one man that has mastered this skill. And he's the current governor of the state of Florida, Rick Scott. You got the clip ready there, big guy?
I got the clip ready.
I want you to hear this clip, by the way.
Okay.
Not edited either.
Well, now let's do a background on the story. We actually did this story last week where at a campaign event, several deputies were there standing with Rick Scott, and they actually didn't know they were going to be there for a campaign event. They were told to go there and be there for a press conference on the law enforcement budget and things like that. You know, that they thought that this was a meeting about the law enforcement budget and how we could help law enforcement get better equipment and things through the budget, and then ended up standing in the background like they were Rick Scott supporters and were not told that it was a campaign event.
Correct. So Noah Pransky, who I actually really like, by the way. I think Noah Pransky does a very good job in his investigative reporting. You guys agree?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I do.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Noah Pransky happened to catch up with the governor, and him and another reporter were asking questions. And here is the audio that you'll hear of this from Channel 10, courtesy of Channel 10 News.
Yeah, WTSP Channel 10, the local CBS affiliate. Here we go.
I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Governor, some controversy with your visit to Tampa last week with the law enforcement who were there with you. Did you really think that all of those deputies were off duty?
Gosh, I'm very proud that last week the police chiefs endorsed me. I'm very proud that 40 sheriffs have endorsed me. I'm very proud of all the support from the law enforcement. We're at a 43-year low in our crime rate. So we invite them to our campaign events, and I'm very appreciative of the ones that came.
But did you think it was a problem to have on-duty law enforcement there?
I'm very appreciative of both their support and those that come to my events.
You didn't answer that question. Should there be discipline?
Look, I'm appreciative of everybody that comes to my events. And gosh, we're at a 43-year low in our crime rate. We should be very supportive of our law enforcement.
So do you think it's okay for them to be there on duty?
I'm very appreciative. Our police chiefs endorsed me last week, the association. 40 sheriffs did. We have law enforcement come to a variety of events and others. And I'm very appreciative of anybody that comes to an event and supports my race.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. I mean, again, he was asked and again, look, he can go, he could have said, look, I didn't know those guys were on duty. We thought we communicated it correctly. If those guys thought they were coming for something else, then there was some kind of a mix-up that happened, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. That would have been the proper way to address that. Even if everything was done above board, and I don't think it was, but let's just for the sake of argument say that it was done above board. They're still asking a legitimate question. You asked for questions. You got a question. You gave no answer.
He started out by saying he'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Should have just said, I'd be happy to dodge any questions you have for me now.
I'd be happy to listen to the questions that you have and not answer any of them.
Because that's what he does. And we talk about this a lot on our show, is how, when reporters ask him a question, it's almost like he didn't hear the question, and he just goes into some talking point that you just kind of look and go, well, but okay, that wasn't what I asked. And this is just an example of no matter how many times he was asked a very specific question, do you agree with law enforcement being at a campaign event on duty? We're very appreciative for everyone who shows up at the event. I was endorsed by 40 police chiefs.
Yeah.
What?
I actually would like to know the 40 police chiefs that endorsed him, because those people shouldn't have their jobs anymore.
Would actually like to smack them.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that you have 40 police chiefs that are even going to endorse this guy. And especially after he says that, like, honestly, anybody that would endorse Rick Scott at this point, I question your intelligence.
Your sanity.
And your sanity. This is what the guy does. Anytime he's asked a question, he never gives an answer. Never.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't talk about how he's increased jobs.
I was a little surprised at that, to be honest with you. I really was surprised at that. But that's what we got going on here with Charlie Crist. With Rick Scott.
And this isn't even the only interview that he did this week. He did another interview where they're giving him credit, saying, "Well, he really opened up this time." He gives this story about how he was raised poor and how, it was so hard for my dad. He lost his job and watched his car get repossessed, and that was really hard. And then went completely down talking points. So obviously his handlers have realized that people are starting to notice that you don't even sound like a human being anymore. And they gave him like a sad backstory where in one instance you can talk about this and then you'll look human. And then completely go down the road every other question of your talking points and pretend like you didn't hear the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what we're dealing with, folks. If you support Rick Scott, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. I really don't. Like, do me a favor. And again, you can call the program, 1-800-525-4032. You can give me an explanation as to his answer if you would like. I would love to hear a Rick Scott supporter be able to support this or be able to explain this to me. Explain it to me. Explain why he is not a person that will give you an actual answer to a question and yet somehow deserves your support. I for the life of me don't, because Charlie Crist is so bad. Okay, again, he was a Republican before and you supported him then. He hasn't really changed that much. He just changed the letter next to his name. It's not the end of the world if Chris gets elected.
Yeah, it's the
not.
same
I don't want
guy.
it. Now, mind you, I don't want it. I don't want Charlie Crist to get elected in office either. I don't want the current Republican or the former Republican in office ever again. That's just me. I think both of them should actually be in jail. But irrelevant to that part. That part. This is his answers. This is what he does. Now, Charlie Crist is now picked his running mate, Annette Taddeo. Who is this Annette Taddeo woman?
Annette Taddeo Goldstein. She is from South Florida. She is a Democrat darling, basically. This is someone who, in the Democrat Party, this was a complete political pick to kind of, get, because there's a lot of Democrats that are like, you have been a Democrat for all of like a second. That doesn't mean that you get my support. So his running mate is someone who's a longtime Democratic leader. She's been around for very well liked within the party, has been around for a long time, born in Colombia, not the District of Columbia, the actual country of Colombia. She was a minority. And listen, it's the same thing we saw with Rick Scott in 2010. He picked a woman who was a minority, African-American woman. So she was a woman and a minority. Now, and that was supposed to get around you're just a rich white guy, that persona, Charlie Crist has to pick, number one, he's got to pick a Democrat, and he has to pick a longtime Democrat so he can build up his Democrat street cred, because he's literally has been in every single party except for ours.
Oh, thank God, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful he's never been a libertarian.
Yeah.
And he also has the rich white guy problem. So he had to pick a woman minority. And that's what he did. He picked a longtime Democrat who's very well liked in the party. who's a woman and from a different country, so that he can be like, look, I love Democrats and women and people from other countries.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
And honestly, she might be a very, very smart woman. And and I'm not taking anything away from her. But if she doesn't realize that her being picked was a political ploy, I mean, that's on her.
Well, I'm sure she doesn't care because she's a political animal anyway, and so she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'll get a little bit of love at this point. And I'll be able to get out there." Meanwhile, Charlie Crist is also wanting to revisit the gun laws that he signed when he was governor of Florida.
Right.
So he needs it. He wants to review Stand Your Ground now. He wants to review 1020 Life. Now, I will say this though. I really do think that the legislator ought to review 1020 Life. I do think that 1020 Life is a bad one because it's just automatic sentences for certain crimes.
Mandatory minimums.
Yeah, mandatory
never
minimums.
Work.
Yeah, mandatory minimums never work anyway. So, and he said this when he was at the Florida Press Association, which Adrian was also at, that they didn't let on stage, but somehow this so-called person, Charlie Crist, was allowed to be on stage and was out there, touting his newfound Democrat chops. Even though, like I said, he's the one that supported these other measures, when they used to call him Chain Gang Charlie. Oh, you guys didn't know that they used to call him Chain Gang Charlie. Oh, okay, well, let me help you out here. Yeah, when he was the Attorney General, they used to call him Chain Gang Charlie because he wanted to bring chain gangs back to Florida. That sounds real Democratic, doesn't it? And he's the one that, he signed Stand Your Ground. Again, real Democratic, isn't it? But now that he's switched sides and he doesn't have he has zero principles in which to stand on because he is a political weather vane. I apologize to weather vanes for the comparison. Because at least they are somewhat consistent in blowing with the wind. Charlie Crist wants to now be open-minded to these kinds of things. Like, the other thing is this. Like, the Republican legislature is going to do anything about this. And there's nothing the governor can do. I mean, he's going to just sign a bill. So, this is what we got going on with Charlie Crist. And again, if you wanted to know if Charlie Crist was a criminal or not, maybe you should realize that Jim Greal ended up in jail because he wouldn't stool pigeon on Crist.
Right. And did you see the new ad that the GOP put out on Charlie Crist comparing him to LeBron James?
No.
They're saying they both ran away.
They both did run away. I mean, Crist should have ran for governor for re-election, but he didn't. He wanted to go up and be the
senator.
He wanted to go up and be the senator. And then what he didn't realize is that, the neocons in Florida were like, well, we're going to jump the line and we're going to bring up Rubio. I mean, that's what they ended up doing. And then he got out of. And again, let's make no mistake about this. Crist left the GOP because he was going to lose the nomination for the Republican nomination for senator. And because he was going to lose that one, he got out of the GOP. Anything else he says as the reason why is a lie.
Yes.
That means that Charlie Crist is lying if he says anything else other than that. All you do is go back to remember what was going on at the time.
Well, and Charlie Crist is not the only one who flip-flops on his issues.
Oh, by no means.
Rick Scott has now agreed to meet with Florida scientists on climate change.
Why?
Because he wants to make environmental restoration a top priority.
They're already buying more land than they know what to do with. Why? Oh my gosh.
And here's the thing is that the GOP consistently, when asked about any type of climate change or any kind of environmental issues, and I do mean any kind of environmental issues, the standard answer out of every single Republican running for an office is, I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. Well, he's also a person that can't answer basic questions.
So whenever, and this is not just a dig on Rick Scott because he does it, but it is so funny to see, I'd love to line up Republicans in a candidate forum and ask each single one of them, an environmental issue to hear them all just down the line go, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I am not a scientist.
Actually, I don't think Rick Scott would say that. I think what he would say is he would say, I'm very happy with all the scientists that do show up at my events and that support my campaign. I've had the Rick Scott and Made Up Science Foundation and the 500 members that belong to it are very supportive of my campaign, and I would like to say I appreciate all of them showing up at my events.
I am looking into the scientist industry to see if I can add some more jobs.
Yes, we've added a whole lot of jobs, and I'm appreciative of the jobs and of the people that are going to my events. Please vote for Rick Scott. Thank you. I'll now answer any questions that you may have. Greg, do you have a question?
Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Do you have a question, Greg?
You're just gonna dodge it.
Well, I'm really appreciative of you being here and of supporting my campaign, and I appreciate your support, and I appreciate the jobs that I have created. I have created the jobs. I am it all. Sorry. Now, there's a whole lot of sheriffs that support me, but one of them is Liberty County Sheriff Nick French, because I had him removed, even though he didn't win a court case and got put back in place, and then he asked for my endorsement.
How funny is it that he asked for the endorsement, by the way?
That was a slap in the face.
Yeah, and he didn't get it, by the way.
Balls the size of church bells, man.
But yeah, so they've now, the GOP is telling everyone to not answer with the I'm not a scientist, because apparently they're understanding that makes all of their candidates look like idiots. And now they're on to we're making the environmental restoration a top priority this year. That is now the new GOP talking point. And so to go along with that, and I'm wondering how many of the scientists know why they're meeting with Rick Scott, by the way.
Well, they probably think it's to talk to him about climate change, and little do they know it's actually just going to be another photo op.
It's going to be a photo op with a bunch of scientists. He'd be like, make sure to wear your white coats.
And glasses and your pocket protector. Look official.
And your glasses and your pocket protector. Make sure it's official.
I'm wondering
Sorry, I had to do
if
it
they're
too.
saying, we're going to have a big meeting with Florida scientists on climate change, and then the dress code is lab coats. And then he just takes a picture and says, yeah, that was a great meeting, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no. And
I'm appreciative of you being here at my meeting.
Look, here's the thing, though. They don't have to bring their own lab coats because the Rick Scott campaign has now purchased lab coats that say, I like Rick Scott and I'm a scientist on all the lab coats. And they're going to hand them out at the event and then take pictures with them with the lab coats on. I don't know if you guys do this or not. I happen to be, I was looking in the wires and it showed up there in the wires.
He'll be sending his bill to the Rick Scott campaign.
He basically says that he's meeting with them to focus on solutions that we can implement to protect our land, water, and families.
I guess the first thing would be the government to stop polluting them. But
or, like redrawing canals that ruin estuaries.
Yeah.
Can the Republicans speak on any issue without dropping a family in there?
No. No, he actually didn't.
I don't know why you'd ask that question, Greg.
I am surprised that he, in the interview where Noah Pransky was like, you didn't answer her question, that he didn't say we're appreciative of law enforcement families.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the only thing he was missing. And he probably got, really reprimanded when he went back to his handlers. They were like, oh, you forgot the law enforcement families.
Damn.
And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I tried.
Next time, do it for the children.
Next time I'll do it for the kids. Do it for the kids, man. It's just I hear the kids invoked one more time too. I'm gonna puke. This whole the whole don't let Florida go to pot thing. To watch that whole thing go around. Well, that means going to give kids access to marijuana. Like they can't get it now. Like this actually wouldn't make it more difficult for
the kids got the best weed.
Yeah, probably. They know where the good stuff is.
Yeah, I so it's just been a crazy kind of flip-flopping. It's been a flip-flopping, 7 years now.
I Again, Charlie Crist, the flip-floppiest flip-flopper that has ever flipped a flop.
Although Rick Scott is really, really trying to beat the record.
Well, not necessarily so much in the flip-flopping area, in just the not answering question area.
Yeah.
So you got a flip-flopper and a guy that won't answer the question. I got to tell you, there's nothing I look forward to more than Adrian Wiley being on the stage next to these guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about really just walking into a shooting fish in a barrel in a economic or in an environmentally correct non-GMO barrel. That's what's going to happen on the stage there. There's no way they can let Adrian on stage. They can't do it. They cannot do it.
And they're going to try not.
I know
to.
they're going to try not to, but and they might succeed. Here's the thing. Here's my biggest fear. That Adrian gets it, that they can't leave him out, and they just don't have the debate.
And that could be where everybody just cancels and says, I won't show up.
Yep.
It's happened.
Because, in all honesty, Rick Scott is going to sound like he didn't hear the question. And just appreciate everything. And this is the thing, is Rick Scott is on an appreciation tour, and Charlie Crist is on an apology tour. And Adrian's the only one actually answering any policy questions.
The only ones that even knows any. The only one that you even know. Again, here's the thing. What is Adrian doing today, by the way? Let's give an example here of what Adrian's doing compared to the other two.
Okay.
So you got these other ones. You got Charlie Crist going out there. He's naming lieutenant governors. He's, figuring out who's going to give him all this money.
And then he's saying how sorry he is for all of the legislation he implemented as governor.
Yeah. And then you got Rick Scott out there just not answering any questions and just being appreciative. You have Adrian, who wrote his own brief and is going to court today to challenge the constitutionality of Real ID himself. Now, don't get me wrong, he did talk to some lawyers and kind of go back and forth with some lawyers. But at the end of the day, he's the one that's going to be standing there.
And he wrote it. He wrote it himself. He conferred with a couple lawyers just on proper procedure. But he wrote all of his own briefs. And I have to say the state's case, their briefs on trying to dismiss his motion to dismiss was laughable. I mean, I read it and I was like, well, what are they, like third graders? This is like, junior law school over here. And it was poorly put together. They were really grasping at straws. And Adrian wrote a very, very well cemented argument on, they basically, their argument is that he doesn't have standing in court because he wasn't harmed by the Real ID Act.
He can't get his license. That's harm.
Right.
So I have to get hurt first before I can do something?
Right. You have to be harmed before you have.
Well, you got to have standing. I don't mind that you got to have standing. I'm not necessarily.
I would say the handcuffs were harmed.
Well, that's true. You had to spend a little bit of time in jail.
His car being taken into an impound lot. There's some harm.
And the whole point is the harm is the violation of the Fourth Amendment of submitting all of his personal papers to the DMV. That's the harm, and he's avoiding it. Right. He refuses to subject himself to the harm.
Their argument is that because he didn't subject himself to the harm, he doesn't have any legal standing. But he wouldn't have been arrested if he had subjected himself to the harm.
Right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It really is. It's really amazing that this is what we're dealing with. But this is your gubernatorial election, folks. This is who you got. This is the race to the bottom that the media is now calling it. The media itself is calling it a race to the bottom. Who's going to lose the least amount of people? And meanwhile, Adrian Wiley, I think, is going to do very well. And if he's on the debate stage, anything can happen. And let's hope that happens, because the last thing we need is either Rick Scott or Charlie Crist. Again, the current Republican, the former Republican, not worthy of your support, folks. Now, we got to take a break. When we get back, we're going to have Brandon on from the Global Dispatch. He's going to tell us about some of the news that we missed, or his perspective on some of the news that we already talked about. Either way, it's always nice and enjoyable to have Brandon on. So let's take a break, and we'll be back. Okay, there's the music. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know how many times I had to say the same thing for you to start making the music, but...
The computer's slow, man.
Oh, now it's the computer's fault, right? All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnston, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the program, the number 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. Because you're hearing this on a delay, it is kind of weird to give you the phone number, though. Well, if you're listening to it live, I mean, if you're listening online, you're hearing it live. But if you're not, we're an hour behind.
Tan Talk, we're an hour
Well, normally they've been doing hour number 3 for us. You have been hearing it live. However, the problem there is that we got to go down and see Adrian, so we're going to have to not do that this week. Yeah. But next week, we'll still go back to hour number 3.
And if you're online and listening, we're going to be done at 11:30, not at noon. So don't be too concerned when all of a sudden the show ends a half an hour early. And if you're listening to it after we've already been live, but you're listening to the YouTube or the podcast or through SoundCloud, when it ends at the 2.5 hour mark instead of the 3 hour mark, don't be alarmed. We had to end the show early because we wanted to make sure to be down in Pinellas today at the courthouse to support Adrian as he actually fights the constitutionality of Real ID today.
Correct. Yeah. All of that is. I will tell you, I was a little confused when you said it, though. I think later on you'll have to draw me a map just so I can follow along. That would probably be better.
Maybe like follow the numbers, like the...
Yeah, like a connect the dots kind of thing.
Right,
that's what I would like. I would like you to do that for me if you don't mind. And we are waiting for Brandon from the Global Dispatch, and he has not shown up as of yet. I probably jinxed it by saying that we were going to have him next. That's the problem.
That's what it is.
And it always happens. Although, as soon as I go into another story, because of course I have tons pulled, that is when he will ring in.
So go into the story so we can get into the call.
And we're hearing a lot about the young people, these millennials that are now registering to vote are very liberal. So that there's this insurgence of, liberal millennials registering to vote. And that's not necessarily the case. These liberal millennials.
Well, hold on. Where did you get what are your basing this information that you're about to discuss on? There was a survey done, right?
Yeah.
Who did the survey?
Reason Rupe?
Yeah, there was a survey that was done by Reason.
Yeah, okay. I was getting there.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and get there. I'm sorry. My bad.
But these liberal millennials are not actually liberal at all. They're actually libertarians. And this would be according to a recently done survey by Reason. And I just lost my internet, so I cannot pull up that survey and tell you what has happened. All right, it came back up. But the Reason survey actually shows that 53% said that they would support a candidate who was socially liberal but still economically conservative, a.k.a. libertarian.
Oh, yes, that is the classical definition of libertarian.
That only 33% were actually meaning liberal as far as wanting more social programs and things, and there were none that were actually very conservative in the social arena.
Well, it's funny enough, in the poll it said, would you support a socially liberal, fiscally conservative political candidate? If the person identified themselves as a libertarian, it was 80% yes, 11% no. I don't even know who those 11% of libertarians are, by the way. The next one, they asked liberals the question, and it was people that self-identified as liberals. 60% yes, 27% no. And the 27%, that represents that real communist bloc. Mm-hmm. The moderates, you had 58% yes, 27% no. I don't understand those guys at all. That's just weird. The progressives, 54% yes, 32% no. Oh, now, here's where it starts to get a little bit skewed. If you considered yourself a conservative, 43% yes and 48% no.
Yes.
So everybody's willing to support a socially liberal, fiscally conservative political candidate, except for conservatives.
Right.
And even that one's kind of close. Brandon. Oh, is he there? Yes. I didn't hear nothing, though.
Oh, Brandon called in on Skype. Brandon,
he called in on the Skype, did he? That's very stupid.
I'm here. I tried the other line. It wouldn't go through, my friends.
Oh, that's what was happening.
That's bad.
Okay, we'll have to get that line checked
We'll
out.
have to take a look at that, yep. So how are you doing, Brandon?
Oh, I'm very blessed. How is everyone?
We're doing very well. So there's a lot going on out in the world right now. I think the first thing we kind of want to get your opinion on is what is going on in the Ukraine. What from your opinion, what's going on there?
Well, I really want to thank the Ukrainians for their support, and Russia, their support. They've been big supporters this entire time, and I really want to thank them for that.
Yeah, but what's going on over there?
Well, there's a lot of things going on. And
I thought you were going to continue with the joke, man.
Back.
Damn, Brandon, I thought you were going to continue with the joke on that one.
I am. I'm thanking them for their support, and they've been really loyal. And I really appreciate you coming out today and supporting us as well.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead with Ukraine.
You started getting in there too early.
Yeah, I did. I got in there too early. I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm sorry. I messed it up. My bad on messing up the joke, Brandon. Sorry.
We really have to talk about Ukraine, really?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
It's a separatist. That's pretty much what's happened here. I mean, we kind of trace back a little bit. I love all the... we didn't write about it yesterday because we really didn't know what was going on. I do think that there's more to the story with the Russians shooting down a jet, but not the actual Malaysian airliner. I think that actually is going to be linked to a Ukrainian separatist group. They posted on Facebook. They thought they were shooting down a different kind of plane. They took the tweets down right away. We're sending over FBI and some airline officials that will help with the international investigation, all that. That's what I think is going to happen. But from a socio-political standpoint, everybody else is just blaming everybody else. So it's just typical politics as usual in the former Soviet Union.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, something that you're talking about right now, Chickawanga is on the front of
Chikungunya.
Chikungunya? That doesn't even sound real. Are you making up names? Are you making up names on the front of your website now, Brandon? That's not cool.
Of course not. Robert Harriman would never do that. He is our infectious disease expert, and he has been following chikungunya outbreak as far back as when it hit the Dominican Republic and Haiti and that kind of thing. And of course, now we have it in Florida. But more importantly, now we're seeing transmission from people to people in Florida, not something that's coming from abroad where people are traveling. So it's just something to keep an eye on. You're not going to see it in some of the mainstream press, and I'm just real proud of Bob's work when it comes to disease and health updates.
You know, it's just really always sounds funny. And I love Bob. I think Bob's a great guy.
Bob's a great person.
It is just funny that you go, I love all his work with diseases.
You know, or when he says he's our infectious disease expert. Like, what do you do for a living? Well, my dad's an infectious disease expert.
Yeah,
Does he work for the CDC? No,
Yeah,
Global Dispatch.
No, exactly.
He knows more than the people at the CDC sometimes. It's kind of disturbing. It's really scary. You'll ask questions, and they're like, no, you can't talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about. So we have a really difficult time getting interviews. Actually, you get better information from the local health officials, and then the talking heads, that is like the bloggers and stuff. The actual people like CDC and some of the other groups, they don't really know what they're talking about half the time, according to Bob.
Unbelievable. Well,
I
mean, I guess it's not...
completely believe that a government agency has no idea what they're talking about.
No, that's true.
Did their server crash 7 times in the same month?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
could be the problem.
You know, we would have been able to tell you everything that was going on, but our server crashed, and all the information that we needed to know was in there. So you're just going to have to die. So, you know, it's just nothing we can do about that. But what else is going on out there, Brandon?
I kind of was in and out of the early part of your show. I assume you kind of, twiddled around with talking about the Israel and Palestine. We now have their embassy's been kind of overrun in a couple of different places, mostly in Turkey.
Yeah, we've heard about that. Well, what's your take on this whole thing?
Well, it's just typical Israel-Palestine. I'm not sure if there's anything there we can do to get Hamas to stop. We had a deal that was completely brokered by the Egyptians. Things stopped for a while, and they don't want to stop. They just started firing missiles again. So Israel was, okay, we're going to start striking again. So, there's not really a way that you can sort of negotiate with a group like Hamas that are running, television. They have like children's programming in the area about killing Jews. So I mean, you're not talking about a group that wants to reconcile. That's not really what they're after. So it's not going to end anytime soon. It's a little shocking that what's happened in Turkey, because their prime minister had put out an ad asking for some of the Jews to apologize to others for what's happening in Israel. There's Israel is killing again, sort of stuff is the motto that's running through their country. So we're seeing a little firestorm. It's a little bit different than what we saw in 2009 and with some of the other attacks from Hamas.
All right. Now, domestically, I wanted to get your opinion on it happened here in Florida, is that the judge has ruled the gay marriage ban to be unconstitutional. You know, the one that Charlie Crist signed
in
as
Monroe
governor.
County.
In Monroe County. So the Florida Keys is basically saying we're the Conch Republic, and that marriage ban is unconstitutional. What's your take on this? And this is happening all over the country, so it's not just in one area. But I'm curious to know where you're at on this.
Well, that's a tough one, because that's where it strikes a little close to home, from personally. But I mean, it's not going to be an uncommon thing. We're going to see the move in this direction. We saw earlier in the week the DOJ is going to really pursue this really strongly with the Supreme Court about trying to strike down any ban across all of the states. So I think that's going to be the direction that you're going to see if that's what you're asking.
But let me ask the question another way. You are a person of faith. You are a person that would definitely believe that personally would be against 2 men or 2 women getting married. However, what do you envision now, in all the time that you've been doing this, where do you see the solution at now? Like, I don't even think that you think that making these unconstitutional is probably not what you would consider to be the solution. What do you consider now to be the solution?
Well, I'm not even sure there's a way to really fix this, because I think the problem is now that once we legalize this, they don't maintain what they're going to do, and they make it more uncomfortable for an evangelical like myself, because they file lawsuits against churches that don't want to perform ceremonies. They entrench themselves with the education system earlier and earlier, normalizing the behavior that we don't agree with, and they lessen the parental control to do that, to speak out. We're really on a slippery slope where it's almost like too late to fix from my standpoint, because, I mean, the government is so entrenched in marriage, there's no way to roll back, 1,100 references in the federal code about tax law alone, so it's a little hard-pressed. But, from a religious and a personal standpoint, it's kind of like they like, let me say this way, they like to make the comparison to race, which is fine from a legal standpoint of how things are construed, but I consider race sacred. You're born a certain way, you're born male or female, but I also consider sexuality sacred. I consider how God designed that male and female union together to be sacred. Now we the humans have disrupted that, treated it awfully. I myself did before I kind of found my faith. So I understand that doesn't hold a lot of water with folks because our society doesn't hold it as high as it stood. But now that I understand what it's supposed to be, it's hard for me to want to concede and say I'm okay with all of this. And I told my friend, I'm not going to hold a sign for you. I love you. You're my best friend. Just because you're gay doesn't mean I don't love you. It's just the fact I'm not going to stand up and fight for that. Now, with that said, the problem is the laws are so messed up. It's still shocking we're in the 21st century and a hospital can tell someone that they can't see someone else in the hospital. And we're at a point now we have to go through loopholes over child adoptions and some different things that it's just shocking. But that shows how bad the federal system and the big brother system can get. It doesn't really matter which topic we pick. This is what we're going to find when we uncover each and every rock.
Well, no, and I understand that, but I maybe I was leading
the question you want me to ask. Okay.
Well, no. You actually did answer it. You actually did answer it. So I'm not going to say that you pulled a Rick Scott on it. But I guess maybe I should ask it in a different way, because because court after court, and this will continue, I believe, is that court after court is showing that the same-sex marriage bans are unconstitutional. That people of faith have to understand where winning is now. Like, winning is not the ban. Winning is getting the government out of it. And I know that there's 1,500 references to it in the tax code, and that government is intertwined in this thing all the way around. But at this point, I would think that. But
the problem is they're not going from it from a normal. They're not going from it from the angle that you and I are speaking of, from a libertarian standpoint. They're still going from a very extreme left and socialist approach to this. So what we're seeing is California. So their solution is, now we're going to change birth certificates because it's degrading to put on a birth certificate, the same genders. And it has to be gender-free now. Marriage licenses have to say spouse and spouse now. So we go too far now to create a world where we're going to pretend that there's no differences between men and women. There's no biological differences and those kinds of things. So we don't approach it from striking down the laws and thinning out the stuff that really needs to be fixed, and yet still protecting religious freedom, which is what some of us are really concerned about. We go to this other strange, bizarre response where we see lawsuit after lawsuit and bizarre decision to redefine what men and women really are, and how that affects children.
Well, but I think the point, I think maybe the point I'm trying to make here, though, is that the real battle should be. Look, I think that the religious community should actually switch the battlefield in which they were fighting on, because if they were to switch the battlefield and switch the argument, then they would actually be able to win the day. Because right now they can't win because they are going to lose, and lose big. The winning proposition, the one that we can get the vast majority of the Americans to agree on, I think, is because you're right. What you're talking about in California about we're going to make it where gender is now somehow a crime and all this stuff, that has almost little to no support around the country. I mean, if you pulled something like that, everybody thinks that's just a Fruit Loop idea. I mean, they really, really do.
I will tell you that I agree with that. It's going to go. It will fly, because that's what they're trying to push for, is the benign political correct answer to this, not less government. So, they're not, the church doesn't see any battlefield to grab onto, because nothing is going to stand up to, it's legal in my state now. You don't have a right to say no to performing this service or renting out this church hall or doing these different things, because we had the same discussion on this show about the baker. The baker is forced to make the gay cake. He doesn't have a right to say no now. He can't say, I don't want to make your offensive Elmo or a Bert and Ernie cake, because that makes him intolerant. He's a homophobe now because he can't say, I don't want to make your cake.
Well, no,
So
and that's where
we're
all
not
of us
fighting it from the right angle.
Well, no, but I think in those instances, I think that's where all of us should step up and say, even though I disagree with this guy's practice and I never buy a cake there, he's got the right to do that. And that's what we should, in all honesty, we should step up and support that guy just like we should support anybody. I mean, look, and this is where I think libertarians are very unique, but at the same time, in that uniqueness gives us the ability to go in there and have a different discussion than a lot of other people would have. I'm sorry, Danielle, Greg, please jump in here.
Well, I think that, and I am a person of faith, so, and I believe that where we have failed as Christians is to center the argument around wanting government involved in the first place, because we've given up religious freedom by telling the government to define marriage in the first place. And that was something that, you know, where I personally wouldn't have supported that the churches and religious organizations around the country did. And we're very much trying to use the force of government to define marriage in whatever terms they wanted, when in all honesty, if we really wanted to take back actual religious freedom, we would stop letting the government define marriage at all, because they shouldn't be. And you know, and that's where I believe that as a church and as a person of faith that I've lost my religious freedom because the argument was framed wrong. Once we allow government to define something that we define in the church, then we've already told them we don't want our religious freedom, that we want them to be making these decisions for us, and that's where we've lost. You know, that started this progression to where now, you know, because when other people get into power, the power we've given away to them by saying, yes, you should define it. Well, once the people who don't agree with us are in power, we've also given them the power to define it, and they're not going to define it in the way they want. Where if you were to have government completely out of it, then churches would define the marriages that they perform within their sanctuaries the way they want to define it, because they would have the religious freedom to do so. But the churches themselves gave that power to the government.
Greg?
I wasn't really waiting to chime in on anything. I think it's a big mess. I mean, marriage always has been a political and economic structure. It's only been very recent that marriage has been about for love and choosing who you're going to be with. My father is the black sheep of his family because he didn't go through with the arranged marriage that was done for him by the two families. I mean, traditional marriage, women are property. Women are property to be negotiated by the father along with other treasure and land, and that's really what marriage has always been. It has always been an economic and political tool, and women were property in that tool, and they were to be negotiated off for land and power. So the call to go back to traditional marriage is also not the direction that we should be taking if we want to have marriage as freedom and allow people to define it, because it's always been defined by the property owners. And I think we need to find a new definition of marriage, not look for a traditional definition of marriage.
I think people can define it however they want to. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, myself, I mean, if you feel that
I think
marriage...
the new solution is it's whatever solution you want it to be.
If you feel that marriage is a matter of faith, and that the covenant is between you and your spouse and God, then have that marriage done at church. If you think that marriage is a contract recognized by the government that gives you certain tax write-offs, then let the government define it. Myself, I see marriage for what it is. It's a social construct used to control people and define property. And myself, marriage only has the value that the people who are involved in it give it. If you want to throw your marriage away and have a divorce or have an annulment or whatever, that's up to you. And the government and the church and all that, it doesn't matter. You hold your marriage sacred. Only you can hold your marriage sacred. No one else cares about your marriage. No one cares about my marriage but me. And no one can determine what the course of my marriage is.
Yeah, don't tell me what I care about and what I don't care about. Am I being detained? Am I free to leave? We're going to let Brandon have the last word on this one.
Well, I really do disagree, Greg, because I think that society does have a stake in the game, because the point of the marriage is to try to encourage the proper family structure and a proper family unity that is best for society. And we're seeing the fallout of this over the last 50 years, especially, where we've gotten further and further away from this with the divorce rates, and now we're going to have over 50% of children that are being born out of wedlock, and we're seeing the devastation of the family and the impact on that. And I'm not saying there's an easy solution. You opened your statement very well, saying it's just a big mess, and I agree with that. But I do think that people of faith, if we do truly believe in what was created for us to believe, as far as a sacred union and a sacred bond goes beyond property ownership and all of that. That's where government did get involved. Before that, it was held as a holy union, and we've got away from that, allowed government to define it. And that's where I couldn't agree more with Danielle's assessment. But I think there is no easy solution because we're so far down the slippery slope. But I don't believe in, Alex, your statement of, a free-for-all. It's where is that line grow? Is it okay to just take away all restrictions so people can marry their children? We have a huge crisis in the Middle East because they want to go and they're paying money to buy 9-year-old girls, 9-year-old boys. So, of course, we have incestuous relationships. You have, of course, the polygamy issue in Utah, where the guy's left the state so he can avoid getting criminal charges because it's illegal where he is. So it's not an easy solution by any means. And then that's, as a person of faith, it's very conflicting. It's because it's hard to know how to balance my libertarian beliefs and what I think I need to see done with my religious beliefs, which become less and less possible as the court system moves along.
Yeah, no. Again, you're right. There's no easy solution to this, and it brings people that would agree on many other issues into some areas of disagreement. But I liked a healthy debate on this one on the show because I think it works out. Again, I think people are hearing it all sides of this thing, and they can kind of end up kind of deciding what they want to do with this stuff.
We have never given this debate enough time on this show. We always do it with like 3 minutes and spur the moment.
Oh, come on. We do it all the time, man. We commit a lot of time to this. All right, Brandon.
I'll just say one last thing to a testimony to this. I have my close friend, and he talks about him. It's about him, and it's about his relationship and who he loves and what he wants to do and all that. I said, but you know what the problem is? You're not honest. And I don't mean you personally. Your movement is not honest because it's not about you. Because the moment that it's been legal, it goes beyond into other avenues of our lives. So it's not about their relationship, and no one cares about their relationship because they don't keep it to themselves. It is about now we're going to force churches to do things. We're going to force businesses to do things. We're going to teach curriculum differently in school. We're going to approach things differently. And that's where I think the churches are really on their heels because they don't even know how to fight the battle. And when you say you want to take government out of everything like that, they can't even get their head around what that even translates to because they have no one out there leading this. They have no one out there leading what you and I are trying to do of say, listen, how about we just take a bunch of the law and just set them on fire? We don't need all of this stuff. And they have no idea how to comprehend that. They have no idea how to get their head around that because there is no one being a torchbearer.
Yeah, no, good point. Mm-hmm. Well, look, we got to let you go on this, Brandon. Give the website address if you don't mind.
TheGlobalDispatch.com. A lot of good stuff, a lot of great interviews coming around the horn this week, so make sure you keep checking it out.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. We appreciate you calling in, brother.
All right, guys, talk hard.
Talk hard. I tell you what, man, I think we've given it a lot of time to have the debate, man.
I think we give it many shows with just a few minutes on each one.
Exactly. We get 3 to 7 minutes spur of the moment. And we've done that many times. Yeah. We've never, we don't give it the time necessary to actually have the discussion on the topic.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to pick that one up at a later time. Mm-hmm. I guess we'll have to do that. We did it last week for the other show, so I don't see why we wouldn't do that again. But it is always nice to have. I like having Brandon on because Brandon almost kind of fills out the spectrum.
Yeah. He does, and me and Brandon agree on a lot of it to begin with. I think he talks about it from his personal belief standards, not what he believes government should be involved in. Mm-hmm. And I attack it from the angle of what I believe government should be involved in first.
Yeah. No, but I think you got to have all the voices there, including even Greg's.
And I always include the historical perspective. I cannot divorce the historical perspective and history of marriage, which goes beyond the religious beginning that people give it.
He brings his Indian stuff in here, which is always a pain in the ass. I'm just kidding. All right. Hour number 2's in the bag. The amended
Shortened hour number 3.
Yeah, shortened hour number 3 is coming up. We're gonna get this thing done up, and then we're gonna head out and go down and support the Wiley in his effort to fight the man. You're listening to Liberty Underground Show, 1787network.com. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. Hour number 3.
Did you forget what show you
I forgot
on?
what show we're on. If you would like to call the program, the number is 1-800-52... No, what am I doing? 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom. 1-800-525-4032.
We will be ending at 11:30 to head over to see Adrian because his hearing is today at 1:30. It's a little further away from us, not around the corner, so we're going to end early to get over there to go to his hearing at 1:30 in Clearwater as he fights for to make the Real ID Act unconstitutional in Florida.
He does, as he's for that battle. But before we go down that road, as you know, as many people know, Florida, the state of Florida, and the voters of the state of Florida will be able to vote on Amendment 2. And what Amendment 2 is this is for the legalization of medical marijuana in the state of Florida. And you have a lot of things going back and forth about this. And I thought today what would be a good idea is to actually bring on a cancer patient to talk about it. Because this would be one of the people that are affected by your vote. Your vote is going to directly affect all Floridians, but this would be one of the first people that would be going there to get this medication, what they would call it, get this medication on it. Her name is Jeanette Boakland, and she's on with us right now. Jeanette, can you hear me?
Hi there. Yes, I'm here.
All right, great. Jeanette, thank you first off for coming on. The first thing is, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm actually a healthcare professional, and I work for a drug and disease information company, as a matter of fact. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer in November, I was actually living in Australia doing my work over there, and I had to come back to get my treatment.
You had to come back.
I was diagnosed with. Yep. That was my choice to come back for healthcare reimbursement issues, really. So when I came back, I had my diagnosis of breast cancer. I'm 52 when I was diagnosed, and I was facing. It was in my lymph node, so I was facing surgery, bilateral mastectomy, 20 weeks of chemotherapy, and then another 6 weeks of radiation. And right now I'm just starting my radiation portion.
And right now you're starting the radiation portion, which, and again, I've never had cancer, but from my understanding, this is an area that is very somewhat painful for you, correct?
Well, it will be.
It will be.
That radiation is like going out every day and sunburning yourself, and then doing it again, and doing it again, and doing it again.
Now there's a lot of people out there that would say that there is other kinds of medications that you could take that you don't need medical marijuana to alleviate the problems that you're going to be having with everything that you're doing. What is your response to that?
Well, yeah, let's talk about that because, as I said, I'm a healthcare professional. I have great health insurance, and I have access to all kinds of pharmaceuticals. So it's not like this was my only choice, but this was my best choice. The reason why was the first 4 weeks, the first 4 treatments of the chemotherapy I received is actually nicknamed the Red Devil. And it's harsh, very, very harsh. You get it hard and frequent. I was actually given double dose, and it was rough. And they did give me anti-nausea medication, during my chemo. But what happened is a couple of days later you get home and you were, dropping to your knees sick. And they did give me pharmaceuticals, so I tried those. The problem with those is they were full of side effects. They made you dizzy. They kind of knocked you, made you out of it a little bit. They would help with the nausea. It did not cure it. It did not help me with my anxiety that went along with that, the restlessness, or my appetite. And when you're not eating properly, your nutritional status is really important that you maintain this during this time. And when you can't eat anything, or what you're eating is, it's almost like hangover food. You want junk. You want like greasy a hamburger, or just non-nutritional, empty calories. And it was a bad situation. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to have a friend who had medical marijuana out of Colorado, and we used to nickname it Colorado Yum Yum. And he brought me some. And I was into my 3rd treatment, facing my 4th treatment, and I actually didn't think I could go through the 4th treatment. I was Googling, what happens if I stop chemo? What are my odds? What are the statistics? Because I didn't think I could do it. And it was then that I started eating the marijuana. And oh my goodness, night and day difference.
Now, when you say night and day difference, can you explain what the difference is? Can you explain, because you explain what would happen under the chemo? Can you or with the chemo, but without having medical marijuana? Can you explain what those differences were when you have the ability to have medical marijuana?
Primarily, when you are that nauseous continuously so long, you're so restless because you're trying to alleviate. You're standing, you're sitting, you're laying down, you're trying to watch TV, you're reading a book, you're going outside, and it increases your anxiety. And not to mention, it really messes with your head because you're thinking, I cannot do this. And if you don't have a good attitude for your recovery will not be as effective. I know that. So with the medical marijuana, the nausea almost completely went away. My anxiety reduced. I could rest, and I could eat. And through that whole time, I never felt like I was high. I just felt like I was in control. I wasn't 100%. It wasn't a miracle, but it took about 80% of it away, and I was in control. And then I was practicing meditation. I could not practice meditation when I was feeling that badly. There was no way. So it put me back in control. It made me feel better, and it really allowed me to maintain my nutritional status, which I needed all those things. My biggest regret is not doing it earlier in the treatment. For some reason, in my head, as a nurse, I'm thinking, well, of course I'm going to be sick. Of course I'm going to be nauseous. I'm going through chemo. I deserve part of that. And it was just hugely different. I was very, very fortunate to have a friend that could get this for me.
No, absolutely. Now, there's a lot of people that are looking at Amendment 2, and some of the naysayers on it. I mean, we all support it here. I mean, honestly, we support full legalization, but in lieu of that, and that's not the bill that's up for vote. The bill that's up for vote is for medical, and so I'm supportive of that effort on it. But there's a lot of people that are like, kids are going to have easier access to this. The rules and regulations are already set, which they're not. But the rules are set now, and it's going to be much wider access than anybody's leading on to, and all the other naysayers that are out there, the Florida Sheriff's Association, amongst some of the groups out there. What is your response to the one allegation of this will make it so kids can get it easier?
I'd rather have this situation with the control that's being proposed with this than the 100 years we've had of kids getting access to cigarettes.
Yeah. I mean, here's my
or beer or anything else. But the other portion about this is I spend a lot of time on a support group online with other women, and we share our stories. And the sad part is I see some of the other women out of desperation, getting some pot off the street where they really don't have any control over what the quality is or what type they're getting, or they don't know enough about it. They just know, I think if I smoke a little pot, I'll feel better. And they haven't had good experience with that because, it's not a hybrid type, or it was actually increasing their anxiety, because it was not controlled. And these poor women are desperate, and they're getting the bad stuff, or they're getting the stuff that's not appropriate for them.
Well, I guess, and that does raise another point, is that the fact that it is currently illegal means that you're not able to go out to a place and get what exactly it is that you need when it comes to the quality or the strain or whatever you want to call it of this specific type of marijuana, or to be able to get it in some kind of a form, like in a cookie form or in an edible form, vice having it in only a smoking form, is that because it's illegal, you're having patients have more of a difficult time actually getting the right stuff.
Exactly, and I didn't want to smoke it. I'm dead set against smoking. Both my parents died of lung cancer, and what's ironic about that is everybody was very acceptable of my parents smoking cigarettes, which causes cancer. Yet if somebody wanted to smoke marijuana to alleviate the cancer that the cigarettes caused, oh no, that's not right. I mean, how crazy is that?
Well, no, absolutely. I think a lot of that has to do with the misinformation that has been put out in regards to marijuana, and just the tobacco industry, along with I'd argue the pharmaceutical industry as well, making money off of that narrative, and so they want to keep that narrative going, and that has created misinformation within the population. But so when you are able to get what you need, and it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to eat, which indirectly not indirectly, but because of that ease to eat, it actually makes the the chemotherapy that you're going through and the other treatments that you're going through much more bearable.
Well, it makes your body stronger to be able to fight these things because you're not malnutritioned and malnourished at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there another?
Exactly, it's where your emotional status is too, though. That's a very, very big part of that.
No, absolutely.
When you're in control.
No, absolutely. Now, I kind of asked the question before, but I'm going to ask the question again. Is there another substitute to this? Is there another? They always say, well, there's other substitutes out there that you could take instead of taking this. Is there really another substitute out there that you've been able to find? And you're a medical professional, so it's not like you aren't uneducated in where to look this information up. Have you found another substitute that works as well?
No, absolutely not. Because the pharmaceuticals that they give you, Zofran or Compazine, I mean, that Compazine will make you sleep for hours afterwards. It kind of numbs you go to sleep and then the nausea won't bother you type thing. And the Zofran was not effective. And all the physicians are friends of mine. If I needed anything, I would call them and say, this isn't working, what else can we have? I have a medicine cabinet full of medicines that I don't want.
Yeah, so
that was the only thing that really helped me.
So if you're just a layperson that doesn't even know what you know, then they would have much more of they would have a much harder time of trying to find something that would alleviate the pain.
Oh, you're not kidding. I would sit in my chemotherapy suite. Let me tell you, it's like 17 easy chairs lined up with mostly older people sitting there, and they're just green and gray and nauseous and awful. And I'm talking to them going, try any pot, you know? And most of them their eyes would light up a little bit, saying, if I could get some, I would. Just thinking any pot would do it for them type thing, you know, not knowing. I didn't know anything about pot. I learned a lot through this process about the hybrids and the different strains and everything. But it just makes me sad. I have a friend that has ALS, and he is in the end stage of ALS, where he can only type on the computer to me. And he said to me, do you know where I could get some of what you had? And I had a little bit left over, and I gave it to him because this is another treatment for ALS patients. Yeah. And people should not have to be this desperate when they're in such need because of a stigma. And that's the way I see it. Yeah. I'm not really a pot smoker when I was younger or partying. This wasn't something that I needed or desired. I could drink my wine. That's fine. But this was a lifesaver for me. That portion of chemo about broke my spirit. I did not want to continue. And let me tell you, without knowing me personally, I am the most optimistic, positive role model for this whole thing, and it almost broke me.
Yeah, no, I can understand, especially when you're feeling bad and you're not having any kind of relief, and it's just like it's like a never-ending hill that you keep climbing and climbing and climbing, and yet there's not you need something that's going to help you with the climb. And for you, it was medical marijuana, medical grade marijuana was what you were able to do there. And I honestly, Jeanette, that's why we wanted to, it's why I thought it was a really good idea to bring you on, because this does need to have people need to understand the people that you're going to be affecting with your vote. Your vote matters in this. You vote no. It's like, well, I'm personally just opposed to this, so I'm going to vote no. The problem is that vote doesn't just affect you. That vote affects people like yourself who admitted, I couldn't have gotten through this. I couldn't have gotten through what I needed to get through without having the ability to have this. And I think that's what's important, is to be able to at least have a real discussion with somebody that can explain what they're personally going through.
Well, and, there's some great organizations out there like United for Care and, these other cannabis organizations where I kind of giggled at first when people were reaching out to me. Like, I didn't mean to be the normal way for cannabis. But it really was important to me. And somebody asked me, could I have gotten through it without it? And I said, honestly, I probably could have, but my quality of life would have been so compromised that I don't know if I would have the same fighting attitude that you need when you're going through something like this. And some wonderful people have reached out to me, and I know that they have already approved the Charlotte's Web. And some people may think, well, we've got that, and that's good enough. The Charlotte's Web that they've approved now for mostly for the children with the seizures and the other problems is a type of strain that they remove the portion of the marijuana that would help me with my nausea and things. So that's not appropriate for me. That's really good for the kids with the seizures and everything. So I don't want people to have misinformation like, "Oh, we've got that. That's good enough." It's not.
No, and that ploy by the Republicans to pass Charlotte's Web, which, don't get me wrong, it does fix. There's a small percentage of people that will help, and I'm glad that those people are going to be able to be helped. But it doesn't change the fact that it's not going to help people like yourself. You're absolutely right about that.
We have a misinformation going on that all cannabis strains are the same, where it's just like any other medication. There's different levels of each of the chemicals in there that will help different ailments, and without having all of it legalized for medical use, it's like only allowing a certain milligram of aspirin be there for relief of a headache. Well, it's not going to help everyone because different people react to things differently, and you need different combinations of things to actually be effective. So you have to look at it as a medicine at that point and legalize all of it so that you can get the right dosage and the right levels and right strains of chemical. The strains would have the different degrees of each of the the THC and the cannabinoids to be able to help each individual ailment and each individual person, because they're going to react to everything differently.
Yeah.
We need the legalization or decriminalization so we can actually do the research into it. We can't even research it further as it is right now to really answer the big questions that we have about it, because it's not legal to do the research.
Right.
Well, yeah, and if you know the history of why it's to the point that it was illegal anyway, though, you look at that and you realize that it was based off of lies to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention anything else. And again, what is on the ballot for November, and that's the other thing. What's on the ballot for November is for the legalization of medical marijuana. It is not for full legalization. And again, I say that in a way to let people know that that's not what it is. I mean, I wish it was, but it ain't. You know what I mean? What it is for medical. And again, I support I support full legalization, but medical is a step. In my opinion, it's a step in the right direction, but I don't win the full legalization battle on November, no matter what. It's for medical. And the people that funded, not all the people that funded, but some of the people that funded this are not for full legalization. So they're not going to be on our side coming out of November on this one when we say, well, let's go all the way to full legalization. But there are a lot of people that are going to support this that, are going to be there. And the majority of the population in the state of Florida and nationwide is actually fully in support of legalizing it entirely, not just of the medical side. They're at 56% on one, where they're almost at 80 on the medical side. So this is almost like a no-brainer, and the state legislature could have been the heroes here instead of looking like the zeros that they are on this. But Jeanette, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we let you go?
No, I appreciate being on the show, and I did a little TV interview, and they offered to, darken my face or change my voice or change my name, and I said no. We have to put a face to this, because I know there'll be a stigma for the people that are the naysayers, and there's all kinds of people out there that need this. So, I put it all out there, and I did that, proudly.
Well, yeah,
so,
and you should.
Let's just hope it all goes through, and and there's a lot of, if people want more information, they want to get involved, they can go to places like this United for Care that is really trying to educate. These are professional people educating the public on the benefits of medical marijuana and really promoting it.
No, absolutely. Well, Jeanette, thank you very much. We really do appreciate your time today going through this and explaining it. And so people can really have an understanding of where somebody like you, who is going to be a person directly involved in the beginning of this, where they're at on the issue and why.
Yes, thank you, and have a good day.
Have a great day. All right, great. Well, hey, look, guys, I really do like that we go through something like that, to have somebody on that actually they're having to go through this now. It's a matter of, going through life in pain or going through life with, being able to at least make it through.
No, I completely understand.
So, what about you, Greg? Where are you at?
No, I love it. I think the more people that we can get out talking to the public that this is going to directly benefit, the better. Exactly like she said, we need to put faces out there. People cannot hide because they're afraid of the repercussions. They have to come out. They have to show their face. They have to say their name, and they have to put a face to this crisis. I mean, people are dying because they are not getting the medicine. 2 people in my family are dead because of cancer, not because of cancer, because of chemotherapy. And they would still be alive today if cannabis was a legal medicine.
Well, I mean, and just, my mom actually died of cancer, and when she was found to be terminal, she actually went the first few months saying, I don't want any pain medicine because I don't want to be addicted. I don't want to, be a criminal. So I'm not going to be doing these things. And then, towards the end of that process, we didn't even have time to research the right strains for her because she was so sick and so weakened at that point. And at the point where she really would have done anything, and we used this to bring back at least her appetite. It did not help with the nausea, only because we were really trying to get strains without being able to have a lot of the knowledge, because we couldn't get, you just can't go and get whatever strain you want. You're getting whatever you can get. And it greatly helped her. She went from being very, very weak at the end to being able to enjoy another Christmas with her family before she passed away a few weeks later. And that meant the world to her, to be able to sit there with the family on Christmas and be able to eat with us and be able to see all the kids open their presents instead of being in bed because she hadn't eaten in weeks.
Well, you got to find a good dealer, man. I'm sorry. That's just the way it works out, guys. I mean, you got to find your dealer that's got the good stuff, man. Pay a little bit extra, get you good stuff, and you're all right, I mean, they're out there. They're out there. I mean, it's Florida. It ain't like there ain't a grow house all over the place. That's the funny part is, like, they're voting on a law that everybody's basically breaking anyway. Right. There's 20% of the population probably not smoking weed. The other 80, more than likely at one point or another, they were toking it up.
At least at one point.
And a lot of people that are very much against it, that are so hardcore against it, probably just were mad because their friends didn't share their weed with them. Yeah. It's more of a jealousy opposition more than anything else.
We always said that the people in the Florida legislature were the ones that really wanted to smoke weed, but the cool kids said no.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, if I couldn't have it, nobody can.
Yeah, which I will say this: if you're in college and you are you are enjoying the partaking of the cannabis,
share with everyone.
Share with everybody. I'm not saying I want the government to force you to share with everybody. If you want to be stingy with your stuff, then you can be stingy with your stuff. But just realize that you may be creating a person that will actively use the government to try to throw your ass in jail later on in life.
Just saying.
Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Put a little tip out there for you.
Do what you got to do with that. Just mull that around in your head real quick. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, and we'll go from there. But yes on 2, no on 1. Wiley for governor, Wolfsfer for AG. Because here's the thing. Even if this thing passes, do you really want the Republican-led Florida legislature to have the entire say-so in all of this stuff? And do you really want Charlie Crist, who's the flip-floppiest flip-flopper that ever flipped a flop,
Chain Gang Charlie,
to be Chain Gang Charlie on this one and start netting up the rules on it? Because what he's going to do is he's going to increase the amount of corporatism that's in it, just like Rick Scott would do.
Right.
Because they did it with Charlotte's Web. But you want yes on 2. You want no on 1. You want Wiley for governor. You want Wolfsfer for AG. And then vote for any other libertarian you can down the ballot. And then we'll go from there.
But none of the rules and policies have been written for Amendment 2. So once that gets put in place, it's going to be up to the legislature to make the rules and regulations. And we want to make sure that we create rules and regulations that are going to get the most help to the most people and really let patients and doctors decide what's right, and not bureaucrats in Tallahassee. And that's why it's so important to vote for Adrian Wiley and Bill Walsifer, because at least in those positions, they will be able to do that.
Yeah, but don't vote for Greg. Because he's not on the ballot.
Because he's not on the ballot.
Not that he's a bad guy, he's just not on the ballot. So there's nothing you can do about Greg. Unfortunately, I mean, even with the nerd shirt, it doesn't work out.
Although, I mean, you can vote for me because I do vote for myself if there's nobody on the ballot that I will vote for. So go ahead and vote for me and give me another vote in some of the races.
State House. How funny would it be is Greg Bowen has won the election for State House in 3 separate state Senate districts.
And actually what they'll say is, well, he wasn't a qualified registered write-in candidate, so he was ineligible to win the election.
Exactly.
Yep.
Bastards.
All right, well, that's the show, guys. We're going to have to get ready to go. I know we got to cut a little bit early today, and I do apologize for that. However, Adrian needs our support. He can't do it without us. We have to go down there and hold his hand. And
Oh man, he's gonna be mad at you for saying that.
that's all right. No, dude. Look, in all honesty, Adrian is a smart guy. I
This is
could not do
important
what
day.
he's doing, but it does not stop me from being able to rib on him every chance I possibly can have. Because ribbing Adrian Wiley is one of the joys in my life, and it's the reason I can get through the day, like we had with Jeanette with medical cannabis. I need to be able to rib on Adrian
Is
in order
that
to make
your
it through the day.
medical
That's my medical cannabis. So, all right, guys, 1787network.com. We'll see you next week.